Hey, you're now tuned in to Underdog Talk. I'm your host, Eric Jones Jr., the underdog with the heroic heart, and I have conversations with successful underdogs. And today I have business strategist, founder of SWI Management Group, Sacha Walton. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm all right. It's been one of those days. I'm a teacher, and the kids was on bullshit today. So,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
so they were running you.
Yeah. They
Yeah,
and it was like the whole school. It was all kind of stuff going on. But other than that, I'm good.
good.
All
Glad you're
right.
here. So it's great. It's great to
Yeah,
be here.
yeah. When it's time to record, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna make sure as long as I got a voice, I'm gonna be able to do an episode. If I lose my voice, then I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Yeah. So before we get into our conversation, today's episode is brought to you by ChristianDewan.com. I mean, I would always say that Christian Dewan clothing line. ChristianDewan.com is the website. If you use the promo code Underdog Talk, you get 15% off. Underdog is spelled right there. So it's DAWG instead of DOG for dog. And we have t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies. And like I said, if you use the promo code, you get 15% off. All right. So I read your bio. I always, look people up. You do a lot of different things. You're a very positive person. You add value to people. But before all this good stuff was happening, what was life like and what was going on with you?
Oh wow, that's a very good question. So before everything was going on, I'm a mom, a single mom, number one. Just living life, and just starting out in business kind of early, and just making my way through it, and finding my way at the same time, and just over time, working full-time job, going back to school, doing a whole lot of things. But then I really settled in and found my purpose in what I'm doing now. So yeah, it's been a good ride.
So, did your purpose hit you in the head? Was it something you read, something you watched, or was it something that like been there? You kind of thought about it, but you kind of didn't want to, you were on the fence about it. Was it something that just happened and you were like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah, so I have to say it like this. So I really, I'm gonna try and date myself. I always do this to me, but I started out doing business in 1998, and the original things that I was doing was event production, and I managed independent indie artists, and so that was like my two passions. But the way that even came about was like people just asked me to start doing something. I was attending the church I was going to, and they needed somebody to do the youth event. Said, "Hey, can you do this?" And I'm like, okay. So that was the bump on the head. But then from there, people kept asking. They saw my work and they kept asking. So I just grew from there. And then same thing. I've always had a love for music. I was an aspiring artist back in the days. And I'm not gonna do anything with that. Don't ask me to do anything or whatever. But I was an aspired rapper back in the days.
Oh,
And
okay.
so yeah, and because of my love for music and even for the art of it, and being, one of the ones that really want to go into it, I found the love being behind the scenes, and I actually ended up working with other artists. So with those two things together, and it just grew, and then from there, I would say the bulk of what I'm doing now hit me during the pandemic. And the pandemic happened, it shut down my business because it was in event production, and I knew I had to do something. And after some time, just really taking that time off to really like find myself again, that's when it was just like, Sasha, go ahead, you got to relaunch this business, and you have to do it differently. So now, the thing that's always been in me was always being in the forefront, but not wanting to be in the forefront. Like, how these things, but then it's like, I'm not trying to do that, I'm comfortable where I'm at. And but that's what happened. The pandemic forced me to bring that part of me out in such a good way. And so now I'm the face of my brand, and I've just been going strong since I relaunched the business in December.
I love it. I love it. In 1998, I was I was still in junior high school. Yeah, I think I was in eighth grade in
Yeah.
98. So yeah. So it wasn't like, things, I mean, I'm sure like you said, life was good. Nothing was, we all have our obstacles and stuff. but you said everything was cool, and then pandemic happened. So that was a 20-year run that you were doing these different things, had stuff rolling, and then boom, the pandemic. For me, I look at it like, for me, it was good. The pandemic was good for me.
Yeah.
Everybody is, except for a close person to me passed away because of COVID. But other than that, like, the pandemic was good. Like, brother was getting some money. I started a business, like all this different stuff. But then it's like, for some people, it was the opposite. It was like, oh, wait a minute, I can't run my business. What's going on? And it took people. I forgot who I said this to, but I was like, God told us to sit down. That's what it was. Like, everybody sit down, get your stuff together. Okay, you got a business, but I don't want you to do that. I need you to do something else. And it was totally different for everybody. So what did you learn from the pandemic? What lessons did you learn from it, even though it wasn't that great?
Yeah, so I learned it was more of a inward study of myself. And so I learned more about myself. Like, like you said, life happens. We always have some form of challenges in our lives and everything. But a lot of times we can handle certain types of challenges. This was one that I've never seen before. So I found myself in a place where I was like really stressed out, anxiety, everything just back up against the wall, me against me. And, even when I said my business was shut down, I had other skills I could pull on, but it wasn't anything like the heart of what I was doing. And seeing myself, go from six figures to, okay, do I got to go back to work? Like, what is the deal? But I found, my lessons in that, when I look back, it was really being still. Like you said, God just sat us down. He shook us up and sat us down at the same time. And for me, he shook me up. He shook some things around. And, going from the place of, okay, being able to slow down a little bit to work on the business, getting things in place for a relaunch that I really wasn't even thinking about. So I found myself in a position where I learned my capacity. A lot of times we can operate with so much on us, and we could take on this, we could take on that and everything. But I was at a place where I couldn't do that anymore. Like, I was the type of person who was always there for other people, including doing everything. So I was, I wore my cape well, proudly. And, but in that moment, I couldn't. So I learned that it was okay. It was okay to understand that you can't be everything and all to everybody, and to really operate within the fullness of yourself, not to give so much that we're empty. So that was one of the things that I learned. And then the other part was just really being comfortable with saying no. And it's just like, a lot of times we will just continue to say yes for certain people or certain things. Some things we say no to, but then there's other things that, we might be that yes person, even though we're not trying to be. But because we want to be there for everybody and do all these different things. And, even for ourselves, when we just need to say even no to ourselves and certain things. And finding confidence in my voice and just being like, no. And I was very content with that, So seeing myself shift from being that superwoman to just a woman that just like, look, I'm just going to operate within if my glass is full to here, that's it. I'm not going to try to make it overflow or anything else. And then also, it's just really showing up. One of the things the pandemic caused me to do was come out of my comfort zone. And like so many people, there are so many things that we want to touch on, that we want to do. But a lot of times, if it's not within our parameters or our box, then we won't step outside and do it. And so I always knew I had this greatness in me. I always knew it was just like, okay, now, Sacha, I had people around me saying, Sacha, you need to be in front of it. You need to do this. You need to do that. You're an influencer. You're all these things. And I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I'm good behind the scenes. You ain't got to, I could do great things from back here. And so it pushed me out of that shell. And so I'm finding that I'm doing it well, and I sometimes shock my own self. So just seeing myself evolve and grow even the more because of the pandemic, it did, in the moment, it was bad, in my eyes. But when I look back, it was still a blessing in disguise. And when like I said, I relaunched my business in December 2021. and I started, taking everything that I knew for business. I have a background in business, professional life, degrees, and even 20 years of entrepreneurship experience. And then some of the things I did along the way was help other businesses develop and thrive as well. So I said, okay, I'm gonna be this business strategist. I'm gonna just sum it all up, be the business strategist, and get out here and do my thing. So I've been able to land speaking engagements. I've written 2 books. I mean, being able to see that creative side come out of me like that, it's just been awesome. And then also have the my podcast as well. So I've learned a lot.
Yeah, I love it. I love it because you said a lot. You said a lot that people that's gonna listen to this get. One of the things you said at the beginning, it was working on you on the inside.
Mhm.
People don't realize it's about the inner you. It's about your mental health. It's about what you can withstand because people don't like life punch you, beat you up, and you like, oh, okay, and you think like you said, you had a bad moment. A
Mhm.
bad moment doesn't mean a bad year. A bad moment doesn't even mean a bad day. Like, don't let that moment take you and then knock you out. You learn from it, you move on. Sometimes it's easier said than done, depending on what that moment is. But you got to keep going. But you got to make sure you're working on you. And that's
Mhm.
one thing I did. Like, I was like by myself. I'm a extrovert. I'm like if you do a animal assessment, I'm like the high talker. Like, so I wait, nobody around. What? Who am I supposed to talk to? I was talking to God.
Right.
I'm like, hey, well, hey, and then I realized, like, okay, I need to do this, and I start getting on a routine and understanding. No, I'm good. I'm cool. I'm stay here because with the pandemic, it's like I ain't going outside. What you mean? There's people coughing and all that. I'm fortunate to have not got COVID. Like, not
Um,
knock on wood. I
you're
haven't got it.
welcome.
I work in the school system. I had a kid in my class get it. Like I've been around like people like okay. So it's like I'm good. I can say no. I don't go out no more. Like people still be going out. No, I'm good. No, it's too many people. No, they don't wash their hands. Whatever the case may be. And I
Right.
learned how to say no. And I think that's very important. And one of the important things you said was say no to yourself. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we don't say no when we shouldn't be doing stupid shit. Like when we sitting there scrolling, we watching Netflix for hours, and then our paycheck coming, we like, oh man, because you could have been doing something else. And one
Mhm.
thing the pandemic showed a lot of people is entrepreneurship. We can create our own. We don't need that. We don't like. I still have a 9 to 5. I love it. I'm a teacher, but I still have other stuff that I created
Mhm.
because of the pandemic. Like you said, it made me creative. Like, okay, now I had a different kind of podcast before this because I had co-hosts. And
Mhm.
then I started the t-shirt company. And it was like you said, you kind of do stuff that you ain't never done. I'm like, I'm at the mall. I'm like, hey, I got these t-shirts. I'm selling them out the car. And then the pandemic showed me, oh, I can get a website. I can get an online business. And it was
Mhm.
different. So it's like, you have to live in the moment, but don't let the moment live in you for longer than what the moment is.
That's
And then
good.
you're able to create. Like I think a lot of people have learned that they can create their own. They don't. The dude on TikTok, I just seen this. The dude on TikTok,
Mhm.
he don't say nothing in his videos. He gets $750,000 to not
Yes.
say nothing per video.
Just the looks. That's all he's
Just
doing. Making look.
nothing crazy. And it's people, oh, they scrolling. Oh, they wondering why they in that situation they're in because you're watching somebody else do something when you could do
Mhm.
the same thing in your own version.
Exactly.
So 2020 comes, pandemic comes. What you said you start being a business strategist. How did that go? How was that like when you first started? Was it the same as excuse me, what you were doing before, or was it something new? And it was like, okay, what am I getting myself into?
No, it was the same as what I was doing before. And the only difference was I wasn't advertising it. People knew to come to me by referral, and I was happy just doing it that way because my main focus was building the event side of my business. And but like I said, I helped scale a fitness coach to get a gym, and we built that, and that's thriving. And so many other people I've coached along the way. I just never labeled myself. So with this transition that I made, or the small pivot that I made, I was just like, you know what? I've done that. I've done it well. I have the degrees in business and the masters and all this other stuff. So let me go ahead and make this work. All my professional life, 20 years plus professional, life and everything, I could just really pour into people because, and number one, my heart is to help people, So it's just like being able to pour into people that way. And then also seeing that so many people were impacted by the pandemic, just like I was. And many people didn't bounce back. I did, and so many others, and many people created businesses, but there were so many others that did not go back to working their own business. And so being able to see that and experience it for myself, and I'm just like, okay, you know what, I have all this talents in me, I have the education, I have the experience and everything, so let me go ahead and just do this and pour it back into people so they can build sustainable businesses, not just profitable businesses, but sustainable businesses, the business that can actually transcend through a pandemic, that could go through the challenges. It could be rocky times, but what do you have there that you could pull on that help to sustain you? And like, even though I still had that myself, because it was other skill sets that I was able to pull on, but it wasn't making me the money that I wanted it to make me. And plus, I would say it didn't happen that way because my mind wasn't even in it. I was too busy thinking about, how am I going to survive? I got a house, I got a car, I got a dog, I got all these things. And it's just like, I was really in survival mode. So my mind just really took me in that place where I wasn't thinking no more than that. I was really limited. So when I look back now, I'm like, well, Dad, I could have been one of those people that I'm helping right now that I didn't even have to, go back into a 9 to 5 or anything. I could have just been doing what I'm doing now if I had thought about it. So because I went through that experience and I lived through it, and so I come out with all these nice tips and the lessons and experience. And I just want to help other people. And that way they can live out their purpose and help build legacies for their families. And, knowing that they can be that small business right now or that solopreneur right now, but they could be the next, P&G, they could be the next Coca-Cola or whatever, companies that, survive generations. And and that's where I see myself at now. So it's not really a hard thing per se. It's just the difference is just getting people to know who I am, which I've been doing very well with that too. So everything is balancing itself out, and I'm loving it. It's growing even more. Even one of the books that I wrote is called The Ugly Truth About Entrepreneurship: The Keys to Managing Mental Wellness. And so things that I'm talking about right now, life happens, but these are the things you can do to help you not to go through those happenings as hard as it could be a lot easier. You just put some things in place. But yeah, so that's really it. The main thing was just getting a new group of people to know who I am. And so my motto is, I'm not new to the game, I just play it differently, to let people know, like, look, no, I know this thing. Because, a lot of people now is just like, oh, oh, you're a coach or you're this and that, or you're a business strategist. People all about, oh, I got to see receipts, or I got to see this, I got to see that. And I'm just like, even the people that you think you're seeing receipts for may not be who you think they are, so it doesn't even matter. It's about the fruit. It's about what we can actually instill in you. And I know I'm just one of those people, and I'm an authority in that. So that's what I'm doing, making sure people know that.
Yeah, I love the confidence. I love it. I love what you said earlier. You didn't advertise and people still came to you. And that's kind of like Bentley, Mercedes, all those high cars. They don't advertise. They don't have commercials. People tell them about it. Excuse me. So I love that confidence that you have. And like you said, sometimes people don't realize it's what you've been doing for years that get you over that hump when you realize, oh, I just need to do it this way. Oh, I need to just help people. And it's like me being born with a disability, going through life, all the struggles, all that, and then get into adulthood. And it's like, I already been through shit. I already been, like, I've been to 16 different surgeries. I'd have been bullied. All this, this ain't nothing. Yeah. This is nothing. And it's just like me having to figure it out. And it's like me speaking or doing the podcast. I'm not talking about nothing that I ain't talked about for the last 36 years. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just a different talk. and I've been doing it. I can teach people how to get over adversity because I've got over it. And that's the same thing you do. You've been doing this, you said, over 20 years. So it's not like, oh, you're just one of those people. Oh, well, the pandemic happened. Let me be a coach. Let me go read these books and let me go get certified. No, I've been doing this.
Yeah.
Like, this is me. Like,
Yep.
you gonna get the real deal Holyfield when you come to me. It ain't something I read in a book. I mean, I've read books, but I haven't. This ain't how I got there. I went through things, and I love when those type of people are coaches and speakers and help people, because that you're getting a real person. You're getting somebody that genuinely wants to help you because they've been through it and they know how to get over it. It might not be the same exact hump that you need to get over, but they can help you because they've been through it. It's not something that they read. So give you an example of somebody that's lived it and somebody that read. So I used to go to the detention center and speak. So I had a mentor program. So I'm kicking real stuff to the kids because I'm like, I used to be y'all. I just wasn't dumb and got caught. Like I ain't, that's how I was kicking it to them. So it's an older gentleman. He's out there, and I think we were leaving or we just got there, and he's talking, and he does a gang group or talking about gangs and stuff. And he read it out of a book and he got a pamphlet, and I'm like, them kids not gonna listen to you. What are you talking about? And he in there with a suit on, so he like, yeah, man, you need to wear a suit. That's how you get the people. And this is when I found out who Eric Thomas was, and I'm like, he wears a hat and a t-shirt and he makes over millions of dollars. I don't think I need to wear a suit. When I pass away in my funeral, don't put me in no suit. Like that's me in the suit. So it's like, I didn't have to read, and all the kids, like, they still remember me. I seen a kid 2 weeks ago. Hey man, you remember me from the detention center? Man, that was like 5 years ago, but they still remember me because I gave them who I was. I wasn't coming in there saying, well, this is what I read on page 56 in chapter 2. And you're not doing that either. And that's why people are attracted to you. That's why, hey, you need to go holler at my girl because she done got me together. And they like, where? She not online? You don't need to. This is how you reach her. This is what she'll do for you. And I love that. I love the confidence. You was talking your shit, but you wasn't like being cocky about it. So I love it. But it's like, sometimes people, when you walk in a room, hey, the ground shake when I walk in the room. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm not just here and I get an opportunity or you put me on stage. I'm just, well, I started off life. It was really hard. And I woke up one day and I'm here. Like, no, you're giving them what they need to. So I wasn't going to talk about the book yet, but you already mentioned it. So what is the book about? How can it help somebody? What value does it add?
Yeah, so it's called The Ugly Truth About Entrepreneurship, Keys to Mental Wellness, Managing Mental Wellness. And it's my story. It's my pandemic story. It's my pandemic story fused with the keys, that I mentioned some of them, the know your capacity, being self-aware and even knowing when to ask for help. That's one of the biggest things right there. A lot of times, we, especially in our culture or any other minority culture, that saying a therapist is like, saying you got the cooties, you know what I'm saying? Or you got COVID or monkeypox or whatever. It's like, you want to see a therapist, like, what's wrong with you? And it's not prevalent, but a lot of times people talk about mental health in our overall life. We have some things going on, but entrepreneurs, when we want to kind of niche it down some, there are a lot of stresses and anxiety that affects our business. So if we're not good here, it's reflected in our business. So, and like I said, when I went through even the state that I was in, when you self-reflect and go back on your experiences, and then I realized in some of the cases that I was really functionally depressed. I've never been depressed before. And so, but when I was to a point where I really couldn't show up for many people, if I did, I was smiling but caving on the inside, because I'm still trying to figure out what to do. And so it's like taking that and just really wanting to be vulnerable and transparent about it. And that's what I'm doing in the book, really breaking down some things like, things that happen in life. And as when we're entrepreneurs, we're twofold people. We have our business life and then we have life, and how we're going to balance it out. So even, creating that work-life balance, family life balance is one of the keys. And then, just working on, that's the inner part. But then the externals is when you come to setting up good time management skills, being productive, having, that productivity in your business, and learning how to outsource and all these things to help minimize any of the stressful moments that you can actually go through in your business. And then also, finding, like I said, I said confidence in your voice. That's another one. But one of my favorite ones is like reducing, like getting rid of the chatter, getting rid of the noise. And as an entrepreneur, sometimes we look at our competition and we hone in onto that so much that it makes us kind of antsy on what we're doing, because they're looking at it like, oh, well, they're rising to the level. We're doing the same thing. What am I not doing? And they're stressing about it. It's just like, don't even worry about that. Get rid of that noise, get rid of that chatter, because you don't know exactly what they're going through or what they're doing or who they have to help them, that maybe you need to look at your own strategies, but not look it through their eyes. Like, don't focus on the Joneses, type of thing of business. And so I see a lot of people, on Facebook talk about that. I see people, they're so worried about, you have a lot of people that give the examples. Oh, I'm 6 figures, 7 figures, but then that person that haven't made $50 yet, like, dang, what am I doing wrong? And it's like, do I continue to go? Do I just lay back? But people don't really address that, because a lot of times those 6 figures in the bank is really probably like 4 after expenses come out. So it's marketing is a psychological thing, and people are good with, playing with the psyche, and a lot of things that we see on social media plays on our psyche. And so when we're looking at from that point of view, we get into that bad place. So those are the things that I talk about in the book. And like I said, and just making it an encouragement. I have, where they can make notes, I have affirmations in there, as well as highlighting other business owners. And I love that. That's like, to me, it's like one of the biggest flexes. I have some business owners and I ask them, what did they do to overcome challenges? And what they told me, I use this quotes in the book. And so, and that's really, in a nutshell. You got to get the book to read everything else. I'll say the whole thing if you let me. But that's what it's really about. And that's the ugly truth, when it comes down to it. And people just don't. They want to say the beautiful things, but not the ugly part. So I'm telling my ugly part.
Well, I enjoyed all that, but you couldn't have said don't focus on any other last name. Don't focus on the Joneses. Like, you just gonna just this other lady. I had a lady, Eileen. She's a money coach for moms. And what's your quote? She's like, "Fuck the Joneses," and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, you couldn't have thought of another name. I'm sitting there. I'm enjoying what you're saying. I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk about this, and this when she done. And she said, don't focus on the joints. I was like, oh, man.
Is that why you made that face? You were like,
yeah. Like, hey, I know the name. I get it. I'm just messing with you. But no.
You focus on this Jones, y'all. Focus on him because he got a dope podcast, all right?
Thank you. But what you said at the beginning, like about therapy, we all crazy. Every single person crazy. Something wrong with us, and we need a therapist. Like, it took me like to go to one and like realize like I'm not being myself. I'm not who I'm supposed to be, and it helped me to get to where I'm at now. I had a therapist, but I didn't really like him like that, so I got to get a new one. And with my job, they just gave us this stuff, so I'm gonna get a new one. But it's helpful. Because it's not somebody that's, oh yeah, girl, you right. Oh yeah, you right. No, it's like, okay, this is why this is happening. Or it takes you back to way back when you was a kid and you don't even remember. You're like, dang, I messed up because of that. That was 30 years ago. And that's very helpful. Like, I definitely for it, like, do it. Like, don't be afraid of it. Don't let what happens in the house. Yeah, what happened in the house mess up everything outside the house. Because we don't know what go on in the house. So I love that. I love that part. And then when you said about the noise, like, stop. Like, everybody didn't like Jesus. Everybody not gonna like you. Everybody not gonna buy your product. Everybody not gonna support you. It don't matter if it's your mom, your auntie, your grandma. They might not like it. You might have a brand that your church going grandma is not about to wear because it's not a part of who she is. So you can't expect grandma to go support you. You got to know your audience. You got to know who you're talking to. You got to know what's going on. Like, it takes me like like step of this podcast, I'm learning, okay, this is the audience, or this is how I need to start asking questions, or this and that, because you have to understand everybody not gonna rock with you.
Yeah.
And you can't watch other people, because like you said, I got 6 figures, but are you mentally healthy? Are you okay? Are you going home and drinking because the day was long, and or you got this 6 figures, but your family don't know who you are? Like, so people don't show that part of it.
Yeah.
And I love that it's about entrepreneurship, because this shit hard.
Yeah.
Like, this hard. And if you don't have nobody that, like, I'm a person, I need people, somebody close, like here, face to face. Ain't nobody in my family done that. Nobody in my family's done anything I've done. And it's like, okay, I just got to keep pushing, because if I don't, then I won't be able to create the ways for the next generation of people through the family, because we don't want to always be stuck with, got to go to the job for 30 years. And nobody want to do that. Because after about 6 months at a job, you're like, man, what did I sign up for? Like, so, like, it's the truth. Like, I've been at jobs like, okay, this job good, benefits. What the hell? Why did I put in this application? Then, but it's like, if you're not consistent at what you do, you'll never be good. And that's why those people that you see are doing what they're doing, because they're consistent. They don't got nothing to do with nothing. Yeah. They get the same 24 hours as you. If you're not consistent, you might as well just be like, okay, I understand why I'm not getting these results.
Yeah. Consistency is everything. And then also, if you're strategic about what you're doing, that even adds more to the fire, to your flame. It's just like, you have to have that plan. You have to be strategic. Even if you don't have the plan written out, at least have it in your head. You got to really write it out for real. But even if you have it in your head, act on it, be consistent, and then, do what you have to do. Because a lot of times people start businesses and don't do all the framework with it. They just go and jump into it. And if you're successful, you do it, you double back. A lot of people will be like, oh yeah, I knew I had to do all my paperwork, all this other stuff. But, still have that consistency and that strategy, and, you will see the difference and the change in what you're doing. And I like to add too, because even when people do look at the competition, they look at it from that viewpoint as competition, but they don't look at it in the viewpoint as to what are they not doing? Where are the holes? Because if they can find a hole in what they're doing, like if they got reviews, if they got a little bad review, check that, because there's something that's missing that you can actually amp up on your side to be better in what you're doing. So, you got to analyze it in a way. You can't look at it like, oh, woe is me. You look at it like, okay, let me see what they're doing. I don't want to mimic it, but let me grow from that and see what I can apply and make it better. Yeah, people don't really think that all the time.
I love that. Or if you're somebody that's not who that person that you're looking, that gap, that might be what you do good. And that's how you get in there. Everybody, you don't got to be Michael Jordan. You don't got to be Scottie Pippen. You could be Dennis Rodman. Get all the rebounds. Whatever that gap is, if that's the gap that you do, reach out to that person. Do something for them and be like, hey, I made this flyer. I did this for you, and see if they like it. And that's how you can get in the door. But that's definitely, like, as a speaker, I watch other speakers. It's only like a few that I watch, but I don't watch them as that's competition. That's where I want to be. I want to be on stage with them. I want them to be like, oh yeah, I'm bringing out. That's like, it's not a competition. It's to help you get better. Because if you have a milestone of where you want to be, then you got to put in the work. And like you said, you got to write it down.
Yeah.
Make it plain and write it down. But you have to have a plan. It's so funny. My mom always told me have a plan. And like, whatever you do, have a plan. And it makes sense. Now I have business and all this different stuff. Oh, I get what she means, because I've always had a plan for something. It could be not what, legal stuff, or it could be bad stuff, or it could be a plan with a female or whatever. But I've had a plan, but now it's like, I get it. I need to have a plan for this, because if you don't have a plan and you start a business, you're going to fail. Yeah, you have to be strategic. And I'm not even just saying this because you said it. The guy I interviewed yesterday, or had on the show yesterday, recorded with, he's a multi-millionaire. He said the same thing. You got to have a strategy. You got to have a system. You got to have stuff in play, because life's going to happen. And if you don't have a strategy, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have something for if something happens, it's just like with money. You don't have an emergency fund. If you don't have an emergency strategy or emergency plan for your business, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
It's like if you got a building and you didn't get the insurance on the roof and the roof cave in, what you gonna do? Because you didn't have a plan, you didn't think about it, you didn't write down every single thing that you need. And it's I hate it. I hate the logistics of business. I want to just be like, all right, it's time to do the podcast. Get on the camera, boom.
Exactly.
All right, it's time to go speak. Get on stage. I'm done. I don't have to do nothing else. But when you start a business on your own, you have to do everything because you want to make sure you know what's going on. Because Billy and Sarah come in and they like, oh yeah, I do this, and they putting your stuff out, and it's like, hold on, that's trash. I could do that.
Right.
I don't need you to do that because you have to learn, and it's about having a strategy. Like you got to be strategic in anything you do. It don't matter what it is, you got to have a strategy, or you'll fail. So, what is your podcast about, and what it's called?
Yeah, so it's called According to Sacha. So if anybody's going to look it up, it's according, and then it's the number 2, According to Sacha. And so it's a platform for entrepreneurs. And when I look at entrepreneurs, I look at entrepreneurs as anyone who is transactional in building their business. So even if you're a creative, you're an entrepreneur, because that's your business. And so, so it's a platform for entrepreneurs. I have the show on Thursday nights called Conversations. And that's why I interview other entrepreneurs just to help them broaden their audience and people can learn about them and just help them to get, build their ground a lot better. And also I highlight kidpreneurs because I have a kidpreneur show as well on Saturdays. And, so it's just like whatever it is, if you're a product-based business, service-based, or like I say, you're a creative music artist or motivational speaker, you have a place on my show. I don't, niche it to be like, oh, I only want this, and this. No, as long as it's a business, we're good. But, it's a platform that I created. I never thought about even doing a podcast. That was one of the things that was just so far away. And, I was encouraged to do one. I was encouraged and I was just like, okay, well, I don't know about this, but my boyfriend, he was the one who encouraged me to do it. And so I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead, let me put it to it. And the reason was because I do a lot of lives. And my outlet during the pandemic was doing my lives on TikTok. And people really started to flock and started to ask questions. They really started to trust my judgment and, in our conversations that we were having. And, people were seeing that and it was just like, oh, no, yeah, you need to have more. You need to do more. And I was just like, I'm not trying to be in front of the people. What am I going to talk about? It's like I do it on the lives, but I'm like, if I have a format of something, what am I going to talk about? So I went ahead and I just launched it. And the crazy thing when you talk about a plan, I knew I was going to do the podcast and I started, just dibble around with it. So I had a few episodes myself. And then one time I was on Facebook in this one group and somebody said, hey, anybody got a podcast? And I was like, I got a podcast. And they were like, oh, can I be on your podcast? And I was like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, one day I'm going to do some interviews, but it ain't going to be now. But then when I did that and I put myself out there and I was like, dang, I did say I have one, so I can't deny the person. So I just had to pull that plan up real quick and get it going. And it's been going strong. I'm actually off for the month of September. I had to take the month off. And so I start my 3rd season in October. And, so it's been going strong ever since. And, I get a lot of, great, reviews on it. People talk really highly about it. And, I'm enjoying it. I love it. I do some live appearances. And I have to remember sometimes I'm a media personality as well. But being able to incorporate that in my overall business, I look at it as being business media. And that's a strategic move on how to connect it with what I'm doing for overall SWI Management Group.
Oh, I love it. I believe I heard you invite me on the show. I will figure that out after this because I fit the description of what you're looking for. But I love it. I love what you said because with podcasts, it changes. Like maybe what you want to talk about, you want to have guests, you get a co-host, all these different things. It's funny because when I was younger, I was like, I want a radio show. This is before internet, I'm back before, I'm a little closer to you than
Oh, you don't want to say, oh, you still in the Gen X mode. You in the Gen X generation.
Yeah.
Put it like that.
Yeah. So it was like when I was younger, me and my close friend at the time, like, yeah, we want a radio show.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting a radio show, didn't work out. And so I started a podcast, started one me when I started motivational speaking and all this. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but this not me. I cuss, I'm ratchet a little bit, little ghetto. Like I talk about everything. I have crazy stories. So I'm like, this isn't me. So I started one. Then I interviewed some people just to get people on. Then I got co-hosts. One of my co-hosts passed away because of a tragic accident. So then I had to start over, come up with a whole new plan, a whole new, and now I have Underdawg Talk. And now it's like, Underdawg Talk could be bigger than just a podcast. I could have a talk show. Like, and it's like, okay, when that point comes, the plan's going to change. And it's like the plan, you got to have a plan when you level up.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're going to level up. You're not going to, it's like when you start a business or whatever you start, you got to have a plan. It's like, okay, I want to make the freshman team. All right, next year, how do I make the sophomore team? All right, I've been making the team, but I want to start. How do I do that? What do I need to do over the summer? And it's all those different steps that you take. You got to have a plan for it, because if you don't, you'll be stuck at where you were and you're like, man, why the podcast ain't growing? Why this ain't happening? Why this ain't? Because you didn't upgrade your plan. Right. It's just like your phone.
Yeah, upgrade that plan. You got to have a plan to talk.
You upgrade like with storage, especially with iPhone. You got to upgrade your plan. You got to upgrade your plan, and you got to upgrade your plan in your life. If you don't, you'll be stuck and you'll be, oh, well, they over there and they got this. Well, they upgraded. You didn't. That's why you got the flip phone and they got the iPhone 14, and that's your fault. That ain't nobody else's fault because you didn't upgrade. You have to upgrade in life, and it's not just money. It's all the stuff we've been talking about on the inside. You got to upgrade yourself on the inside. You got to be able to say no different ways on different levels, because it's going to be times where you might got the money that you want, but then something happened and you go back to the old you, go hang out with some people, and now you're on the news. Now you're in a situation because you wanted to still be in the hood. No, I'm good. No, I'm good. I got this money over here. You want to come hang out with me over here where it's safe and there's no drama, no negativity? Yeah, come on over here. Or, so it's different things. I love this conversation because it's been like, you've been transparent. We talked about you. We've talked about how we can help others, and definitely got to check out the podcast. And I definitely gonna check out. I'm not a big reader, but I definitely get somebody book. I'll start it, but I won't finish. I'm not the reading type. I'm just not. I don't know why.
Well, I'm gonna have an audio book soon, so you can get.
Not me either. I don't do audio. It depends on the voice, because audio books be having them all. Yes, turn to page 1.
It'd be so boring.
I'm like, man, if you don't get off, I can't do it. So I'm more of a podcast listener, YouTube watcher, watch a movie. I get content from all different kinds of stuff. So yeah, one day I'll be a book person. Maybe when I get older. Because I got Eric Thomas' new book. I opened it, read like the first chapter. It's been sitting over there for a few days. And it's like, I know this book will help in certain areas, but it's like, I just don't like reading. And I'm a teacher too, and that's the bad part. I don't do teaching. I don't do reading on my, I do help with guided reading. I'm the math person in my classroom.
Okay.
So,
see, I know for myself, I love audio, just audio books, because I don't have time to read anything. I just throw it on in the car and just whatever. And but I'm thinking about doing my own audio book, like my voice, and doing my own audio for myself.
I think that, and that helps people, actually it'll help get the story, because when you reading it, your voice gonna change. There's gonna be some stuff that hit you, and it is different when I think Kevin Hart, somebody famous did that. They had their own voice. I don't know. That's not me reading. I'm gonna have all the books and all the library, but then what book did you read lately this month? None at all. It's just not me. So before we get to how people can reach you, 3 tips for entrepreneurs. They kind of just starting off. They got the idea. They wrote some stuff down, but they really don't know what to do next. What are 3 tips that once they listen to this, it'll help them move the needle forward?
Yeah, so definitely, as we said the whole time, write out your plan, because in that I'm gonna say it in 2 parts. Write out your plan. That's number 1. Because in that, you find your target audience. So number 2 is finding your target audience, but then also having a strategy. Those 3 things together will help you to get on the right track. And then as a 4th one, just contact me and I can help you. So that would be my 3 points. But definitely, it, don't shrink back in what you do. Use those 3 points that I gave you and just go forward in it.
Yep. Yep. Those are simple, but hard because you gotta be consistent because you gotta write. Like I don't like writing either, but I understand I gotta write down these things and I understood it from like when I first learned that, write it down and I put dates and I accomplished everything. And it was like, oh, okay, because you get to see it. And then don't just write down a plan or your goal. Oh, I want to do this. Write down how you're gonna get there. Because if you don't know how you're gonna get there, you ain't gonna get there. Then
Exactly.
I love you have to know who your target audience is. It's not gonna be the people you hung out with. It's not gonna be your friends. It's not gonna be your family. It's gonna be people that think just like you. They're out there. There's people out there that think just like you. I know I be thinking I'm crazy. I talk to myself. I learned a lot of people talk to themselves. I'm like, oh, I'm not the only person. Good. I have an out loud conversation. Like you in the street, you be like, what's wrong with him over there? And I'm not no crazy person, but I just talk to myself. Or whatever you do, there's other people that do it. And when you find that audience, then you'll understand, oh, man, I'm getting all these sales. Oh, I'm getting people this and that because you know who you need to talk to. Because you can't talk. If you talk to everybody, you won't talk to nobody. And then have a strategy. I love it. So I don't know if you have a quote, if you read a quote. Please don't say anything bad about the Joneses. Can't take that too many more times. Not just messing. But I need a quote from you.
All right. So my quote is based on everything we talked about tonight. Your purpose is attached to your idea. So show up for that idea and just be there for the people that's attached to your idea and just running your purpose.
I love it. I love that quote. So let the listeners know how they can reach you, where they can find you at, all those good things.
Okay, so you could go to my website. It's www.swimgtgroup.com. All my socials attached to it. You can just follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm everywhere. I'm all over. You can find me. If you don't remember the website, just Google me, Sacha, Sacha Walton.
Love it. You can reach me at Underdawg Talk Podcast on all social media. Underdawg Talk Podcast, Gmail, if you want to tell me something good, something bad about the podcast, if you want to be a guest, if you want to find out more about a guest, that's how you can reach me. Before I ask you what your closing words, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for what you do and helping people and helping businesses, because you're definitely helping. When you help people create businesses and be successful in them, you're helping not just them, you're helping their family. So I appreciate you. Thank you for everything that you do. Only thing you said, don't focus on the Joneses. Ladies, I'm single. Focus on Miss Jones. Don't worry about what she talking
about. Go ahead. Focus on. Go ahead, y'all. Think about that, Jones.
Yeah, I know other Jones. Me and my son, those are the two Joneses that shouldn't dislike. Yeah,
you be good. You're an exception.
Yeah,
but I really appreciate you for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
No problem. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I was gonna say you want to have a rap battle because I rap too, but I'm gonna leave it alone because you say you was a rapper
I'm
back.
Retired.
You ain't never retired because I know you spit bars randomly throughout the house.
But I'm inspired.
Yeah. No, I'm just messing. But I like to rap. I never done it to try to be a rapper, but I think I'm pretty good. I'm better than a good portion of whatever these people that talk about shoot them up, bang, bang, come out.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was cool when you said that, because I'm like, that's the first person I think that's been on here that'd be like, oh, I rap, besides somebody that does music. So that's cool. Any closing words before we get out of here?
Buy my book. Go to my website and go and get the ugly truth about entrepreneurship. Definitely do that and follow me. I'm doing some amazing things. About to go to Paris to speak next month, and you want to keep up with me and just all the great things that I'm doing. And keep in contact.
I love it. Go buy the book. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna read some of it. I might give it to somebody that read to help them out, but I'm definitely gonna support. I love that. And on that note, peace.